Our regular programming this afternoon to give you an update on this missing little girl. Her name is Athena Brownfield. She's 4 years old, and she was last seen 2 o'clock Tuesday afternoon near the 200 block of 200 block of Nebraska Avenue in Cyril. And that development was only made possible after her brave 5-year-old sister alerted a postal worker. The Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation is now having a press conference at the Family Life Church in Cyril about the latest developments. Let's take you there live.
Those grid searches with volunteers, and we really appreciate their support along with OHP's support in managing that effort. We are collecting items that could be relevant. I'm not going to call them evidence, but we are finding things around town that could be helpful in this case. One of the questions from this morning was about the health and condition of the 5-year-old that was found yesterday. Excuse me. We can report that she did not require medical care. At the time, of course, she was frightened. That goes without saying when you're a 5-year-old. She's currently in protective custody with the state, but she did not require any sort of medical care at the time. We really appreciate all the tips that have been called in to our tip line. We encourage anybody in town, whether you're a business owner or a resident, that if you have any sort of video cameras or Ring doorbell systems, if you can come down to the church and provide that to law enforcement, it will be very beneficial. Let's see. We're still working on putting together the exact timeline. But again, I can confirm that this investigation really kicked off yesterday about 2 p.m. when the postal carrier located the 5-year-old and contacted the police department. And then we got involved later that night. And then, of course, all of our law enforcement partners have joined us, and we've been looking for her nonstop since the original call came into the police department. With that, I'm going to let Trooper Foster answer some questions about OHP resources that are out here and also address the Amber Alert.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. So the Oklahoma Highway Patrol was requested last night, and obviously we're here to assist. And so we brought all of the resources that are available to be able to come and assist. We've been in the air with helicopter, with infrared. We've been on the ground. Obviously, you've seen around town there are a lot of grid searches on foot going around and on four-wheelers, things like that. And so our ERT team, which is a team specially trained to go on foot in search of people and things, are out in coordination with civilians who have come and wanted to volunteer their time and effort. And that's really a great thing to see, especially in Oklahoma. We see that all the time. The Oklahoma Highway Patrol also is utilizing boats on some of these small ponds out here to make sure that we check waterways and check those thoroughly to make sure all of that is done appropriately with sonar and things like that we can see in the water. And so the Oklahoma Highway Patrol is very much involved in just assisting whatever needs to be done that is requested from OSBI and the city of Cyril. Our thoughts and prayers go out to everyone involved. And really, I reach out and say, pray for all of those involved, not just on the law enforcement side, but there are a lot of people, there are a lot of civilians, there are a lot of resources being put into this that this is done appropriately. To answer the Amber Alert question, there have been a lot of questions on the Amber Alert. The Amber Alert has specific guidelines that we have to adhere to push out the Amber Alert specifically. The Amber Alert goes out nationwide. So once we push that button, it goes all the way to Washington, D.C. and goes out like that. So there are specific things and guidelines that we have to follow. Not every part of that guideline came into play in this. And so that wasn't done. So the next best thing that we could do was a missing and endangered notification. That went out in a 15-mile radius in around where we knew that the person was missing. And so that's why you didn't get it statewide. Those emergency alerts didn't go statewide. It went locally, and that was really the important time frame that we needed to get that out. And it was pushed on social media. All of the news outlets were able to get that immediately. And so it was done in a very efficient way by guidelines. And there are reasons for those guidelines. The Department of Justice puts out those guidelines to help us put that together. And so that's kind of the answer on that. Brooke?
Yeah. I just want to conclude with a couple of things. There's a lot of talk about this investigation on social media. Obviously, we can't stop that, but it can be counterproductive to the investigation. So I would encourage people not to report or spread rumors or innuendos that they see on social media. And lastly, I think on behalf of all of us here and involved, all of the volunteers, we would like to thank the community. If you haven't been inside, there's just been an outpouring of food and water for the law enforcement and the searchers here and the volunteers that are giving their time and energy to finding her. The restaurants, the churches, the volunteers here, we really appreciate them, and obviously couldn't continue this investigation without their help. We'll take a few questions. I'm just going to be honest, guys. That's pretty much what we know at this point in time. So